I spoke a little bit about Kelly on the show earlier today. I do think having another really versatile defender between Maxey and Paul George is going to be beneficial. And I think Kelly might make a little more sense on this current team than he did last year. If there's even, and I've thrown a little cold water. I'm not 100% sure the shooting. He shot really well early in the season with Joel Embiid. I think a lot of people have tied that to being a good fit next to Joel Embiid. I'm a little skeptical, worried that was just a hot shooting stretch, but I think he makes more sense on this team. I think he makes more sense on his team defensively with Paul George and his size and length and versatility, and certainly more offensively when he's sliding into more of an off-ball cutting transition, attack closeout kind of attack and unset defense kind of role, and not being asked to create as much as he was last year. I have very significant concerns with the jumper. I just don't like low 30s 3-point shooters. I find a tough spot to put on the floor for as many minutes as I think Kelly is going to warrant, especially because right now they only really have 4 starting caliber players. That is a significant concern, but I think he can be a good contributor. And like we said, coming into the offseason, I feel like the 2-year room mid-level that he ended up signing for, which is 2 years, 16 million with a player option for the second year, is fair. I know something I was comfortable with and something I'm still comfortable with.
Well, we were talking about it and forecasting his market and in coming back here as well. We did discuss, though, could he be a starter or is he more in that 6-man role where you have that scoring punch coming off the bench? And right now, if I were to ask you now, not knowing what else they're going to do, but they are going to fill out the roster, knowing what you just said, Derek, about this is one of the better places for him, especially next to now Paul George, would you feel more comfortable? Would you feel comfortable with him penciling him in or putting it down in Sharpie as the starting guard or starting wing next to Paul George?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm comfortable. I still think he is probably better
pencil
off in his 6. Yeah, I mean, look, he's the best option.
Okay.
He's one of the 5 best options they have right now.
And
Ideally,
look, that the defense that he showed too gives you a little bit more promise out there with George and Embiid at the same time.
yeah. I mean, look, ideally, I would prefer a more complete player, but they don't have 5 of those right now. So I think he is, because of his defense, I think he is locked in there.
And look, I think he's certainly on track to start right now. And I like his fit a lot more now that Paul George is that third guy. You have the volume outside shooter. We already know what Maxey can do. Frankly, we've talked about it on the show before. I'd like to see Joel Embiid's 3-point volume tick up, right? And have him out spacing the floor and just letting jump shots fly a little bit more. And so assuming that the other guy that they bring in or put in that starting lineup is at least a credible shooter, Kelly's skill set Kelly will be able to use his skill set in an impactful way as a cutter playing off of those guys, as a slasher, attacking that space that's created by having guys like Joel, like Paul George, like Maxey. That's a big boon for him. And then on the other end of the floor, he has the defensive versatility that he can switch across matchups. He can potentially, for stretches of the game, take some of the tougher assignments. He is younger, sleeker than Paul George is at this point. I also think he can size down easier. Obviously, had ups and downs in the Knicks series, but certainly proved capable of checking Jalen Brunson for parts of that series and was a good option on him. And yeah, look, there's no way around it. The jumper is a huge swing factor, not just for Oubre, but this team, right? Because if he's an average-ish shooter, which has been tough for him over basically his entire career, we've seen him shoot 40% for a few weeks, but that doesn't tend to last longer than those few weeks. But if he can get to average, he does so many other things and showed a level of commitment on defense that we hadn't seen before. That, yeah, I mean, even if he's not a starter, which I do think he will be, he's going to be a high minute guy.
Yes.
Almost by default. But it's a credit to him that he's in that position now. And, for anyone who's concerned that last year was prove it Kelly and, maybe they don't get the same fire from him this year.
Prove it 2.0.
This is another basically prove it deal, a better prove it deal for him. But he's got an option, so he can make this right around $8 million this year. And if he has another good season, he's in his late 20s and he can get a big time payday from somebody. So he has everything still to prove. He's going to have a ton of opportunities, and I'm excited. Like, Kelly was a fun guy to be around. So it's, even if there are some car crash moments at the rim and, you know, some head scratching shots that he takes from time to time, I'm happy that he's back, and I think he's going to be, you know, a positive, impactful player on this team.
We all silly like the mayor.